Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday, brought to you by Idaho Public Television and Montana PBS.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another segment of Tech Talk Tuesday. This month, we are talking about virtual experiences and helping kids connect to people and places using digital tools. I'm joined again by the rock star Andrea Rogers from Amsterdam School in Manhattan, Montana. Andrea does really cool things to help break down the walls of her classroom so that her kids can see the world beyond their community. And she's going to talk to us today about the 5 Clue Challenge. So welcome, Andrea.
Hi.
So Andrea, tell us about the 5 Clue Challenge and what is it and why should a teacher do it?
Awesome. I was looking for activities that would help make social studies come alive for my students. And an idea that got brought to the table was Mystery Doug and the 5 Clue Challenges that he does for students. And so we decided to take that idea and kind of put a spin on it to fit the curriculum that I was teaching in social studies, which is the regions of the United States. And after learning about each region, usually I give my students some type of hands-on application project to kind of show their learning or to demonstrate what they know about that region. And one of the projects we decided to do was the 5 Clue Challenge. So students were able to pick a state and they were able to design their own 5 Clue Challenge after doing a lot of research and learning about their particular state.
So how does this work? Once they create their clues, what do they do with them?
So it starts off with a lot of research. So we teach students how to use Google correctly. And the idea of the 5 Clue Challenge is they are going to be giving 5 clues about their location. And the first clue is going to be very broad. So it's going to be something that with a simple Google search, you wouldn't be able to answer. And with each question after that, it gets a little bit more specific. So usually by the 5th clue, it should be very obvious to the participants where that location is. And the idea is that your clues are meaningful enough that the listener or the players are able to guess that mystery location by the end.
Awesome. So how do the kids present their 5 Clue Challenge to one another?
Yes, so we have a green screen here at our school, which is really awesome. And once the kids were done with their research, we started out the planning process of how are you going to present this? And so we use Do Ink on the iPads. It's really user-friendly. The students are able to record and do some edits themselves, which is really nice because you also want them to be able to have that experience with the tech part. So we set up the green screen. Students worked in pairs, and we had an adult in the building recording the students giving their 5 clues. So they would start off, they would give their 5 clues. They would go very slowly because you want to give each time for the people who are playing to pause in between each question. And then at the end of it, they would reveal where they were at. The students were so creative in their projects that they would have a background. So once they had their videos done, they would crop themselves into a background that was a part of their mystery location. So we wouldn't want it to be something super duper obvious. And so the kids had to really think and find a location in their state that was representative of that state, but without giving away exactly where the location was. And so some kids also brought in props. So if they were someplace where it was going to be cold, usually they had jackets on or mittens and hats. One student was someplace tropical, so they wore a lei. Lots of different ideas. And then there were some that were more just basic, which was totally fine as well and turned out just as great. So lots of opportunities in this project for students to get creative and to think outside of the box a little bit.
Yeah, I hear that. So, I mean, what other things do a student, if you compare this to your traditional fact-finding research project, what makes the 5 Clue Challenge more effective than that kind of activity?
I think students, they need variety. And I feel like we are always giving students the opportunity to do research and present it in a very basic format. So whether it's a slideshow or a poster board or giving a speech or writing an essay. And for some students, those are great options, but they don't work for everybody. And I think the idea of integrating some of these tech projects is to open the doors for all students to connect to what is being taught and to have an opportunity to express themselves in a way that makes sense for them and gives them an opportunity to shine. And this project is definitely one of those ways where every student has an opportunity to be successful. And it's great for students when you're thinking about differentiation who might not be able to write a 5-paragraph essay, but they can do the same amount of research and learn the same amount as the student who can write the 5-paragraph essay and just present their knowledge in a completely different element.
That's what I was thinking too, the accessibility of it, the engagement factor, the getting away from the norm. But also I think I hear critical thinking really playing part in there. If they're thinking of these clues and trying to write them in such a way that they might stump an audience, that takes their thinking a little bit higher than just, regurgitating facts in a presentation.
Yes. And I think too, going back, and again, there was this reflection piece, because after they would do their work for their day or come up with their question, I think there was a lot of like soul searching at the end of the day or after they'd go home, because they'd come back the next day and they'd want to revise or make it more challenging, because they would think about another way of maybe presenting the same clue, but in a different way that would make people think a little bit harder, or they would try to want to trick the people who are playing, because ultimately kids want to win, and they definitely wanted it to be hard up until the last clue, and they did their best to make their clues reflect that.
That's great. Andrea, any like final tips you'd give to a teacher who is going to try this activity?
I would give students a little bit of a chance to do some recording and viewing themselves after they've been recorded. We did have a lot of camera shy students who didn't realize they were camera shy until they started to work on this project. And so we had to work through that stage fright a little bit, and then making sure that they were comfortable presenting their video to their peers. Because I think for those students who might not feel so comfortable, there's still a way for them to help with the research, create the questions, and then maybe have a role that's more behind the scenes, like doing the recording or the editing. They still did the work, but maybe they just didn't want to be present in the video for whatever reason. And I think that also works for those students who can't be recorded anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And more and more, I think we see that a little bit too, where parents don't want their students.
Yeah, great tips. All right. Well, Andrea, thanks so much for sharing this activity with us today. I know teachers are going to want to take this and run with it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.